I remember what it felt like to do these exams. It's nerve-wracking, it's stressful. If it's course 1 for you, you haven't done it before, and now the fact that if you failed twice, you have to pay for the entire course over again, it's just piling on the pressure. But if you are coming in more prepared than before, understanding these confusing topics that I'll touch on in this video, and not just winging it because you could retake the exam as many times as you want for that $100, you will now be more knowledgeable going in and save some money. Those $100 retakes start to add up, but if you're here, your goal is to start to make a clean run through the program and first try them all. Course 1 consists of 7 modules. This is manageable if we can break it down. I have a really good video on what to expect on the Course 1 exam, and that one does touch on what you'll see most, and I'll link it at the end of the video. But in this video, I'm going to break down a couple of the harder and maybe more confusing topics that you're going to see later in the modules that maybe a few of you aren't getting to or even grasping. I'll also try to relate the topics to exam questions you're going to see, what to look for and what to look out for. Because if you can put in the hard work and understand the later harder topics, the rest will seem easy. It's like cleaning the kitchen. If you always clean the oven first, the hardest job, the rest will seem like a breeze. I have also finished my Exam Master mini course for Course 1. It's in the description below. It's a value link, of course, for the YouTube family and anyone that has subscribed to the channel. The goal of that course is to really build your confidence and knowledge so you can navigate the 4 different types of questions you will see on the exams and really good fundamentals everyone should be using when approaching the exams. So look for that in the description below, but let's just dive right into the video and break down a couple of the harder topics in the later modules. If we choose a topic in Module 6, I want to go over the definition of a contract and legislation impacting contracts. So we know there is a random element to these exams, and you should never expect to see the same exam twice. You might get lucky and only get what is the definition of a contract, but now you have to come in more prepared. We can't risk that, so we want to cover both. What is the definition of a contract and also legislation impacting a contract. So simply, the definition of a contract is a promise made by one person to another that the law will enforce. Right, so even if you read that as a possible answer in your exams, keep in mind that there is nothing wrong with that answer, so always keep your cursor hovered over possible answers that have nothing wrong with them. If it read, for example, a contract is a promise made by one person to another that will be binding once presented, start to see the differences in how they word their answers. If you are practicing my fundamentals I show in the Exam Master mini course and are not stressed or rushed during the exams, these glaring wrong answers will start to pop out at you. So you have a definition of a contract which is quite broad. Contracts may exist in many forms, including oral contracts, letters, or letter documents. But keep this in mind, any contract for the acquisition or disposition of an interest in land must be in writing. Real estate, which what our business is, a contract must be in writing, no verbal agreements. Which is why the legislation impacting contracts is here. Legislation impacting the preparation of agreements for the sale or even lease of real estate consists of 3 parts. The Statute of Frauds, the Vendors and Purchasers Act, and as well as REBA, the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act. If you're watching this and it's Trust the Now, Trust in the Real Estate Service Act, same thing. But simply, Statute of Frauds is that real estate contracts must be in writing, like mentioned. No verbal contracts will be considered binding. Simple one there. The Vendors and Purchasers Act goes a little deeper, and in most cases in real life, this is where the seller's buyers and lawyers will be involved very close or at closing for this legislation. But simply it deems certain information to be included in every agreement of purchase and sale. There is no standard form that must be used according to any legislation, so keep that in mind. 99% of the people watching this will become realtors, and you will use the OREA forms. And although there is no standard form, they must have, and again, mainly related to what lawyers will be handling at closing or very close to closing, title search, taxes on closing, transferring of ownership, discharging of mortgage, etc. The third part of the legislation impacting contracts is REBA, and it is what we have to do as salespeople, and it's also related to our code of ethics. Representation and documents, whether they are a client or a customer, and that everyone has a copy of the contract in a timely order. Just simple stuff. Us as salespeople in the real estate industry is actually quite simple. We're just communicators and organizers. So just a refresher, the definition of a contract: broadly, a contract is a promise made by one person to another that the law will enforce. And legislation impacting contracts consists of three factors: the statute of frauds, real estate contracts, the transferring of land must be in writing. The Vendors and Purchasers Act specifies several rights and obligations that must be incorporated into a contract. Examples: title search, taxes on closing, transferring of ownership, etc. Third, REBA, various requirements under our code of ethics like representation and that everyone has a copy of the agreement in a timely manner. Okay, that's that simplified. Let's stay in the later modules and move on to module 7 and touch on the difference between business income and capital gains. The last topic we definitely had to go over, but I do try to pick topics like this one that you're going to discuss in the real world as well, whether it's with your clients, your SOI, or other real estate agents and brokers. This topic, especially in our market right now, where homeowners have good equity in their home, refinancing, capital gains, this is definitely a hot topic that people are consistently talking about. So a super simple way to remember this is that business income, let's say you earn $100,000 after expenses, that is taxed at $100,000. Capital gains are only taxed at 50% of the net proceeds. We'll break this down in one of the most common scenarios that you might see here in Ontario. Let's say your clients have a home in Toronto, but they also have a cottage, say in Collingwood. Their home in Toronto is their primary residence, and at the time of this video, and I know this is a hot topic as well and in talk of changing, but you will not pay any capital gain tax on your primary residence. If you bought your primary residence in Toronto for $500,000 and now it's worth $1 million, that $500,000 increase in value or profit is all yours if you were to sell. But let's say they bought their cottage in Collingwood for $500,000 as well and sold for $1 million, 50% of that gain, so $250,000 would be subject to tax. So it's not awful. $250,000 of that profit will be free and clear, but the other $250,000 will be taxed. So I say all of this so you can engage in conversation with your clients if this topic were to come up. But if this topic were to come up in the exam, let's say a question like this that reads, your clients Mary and Mike are selling their cottage in Collingwood. They ask you if they should sell now, being subject to capital gain tax, or wait until they retire where their annual income will be significantly lower. What should you advise your clients? In this particular case, and it comes up a ton on these exams, and rightfully so, if there is an answer related to a situation where you are not a professional, always choose the answer that says just that. You should advise them to consult a third-party professional who specializes in taxation to understand their tax obligations. I personally would be doing this in real life as well. I don't know their exact income scenario or their goals, but those are slam dunk answers on the exams. We are not professionals in every field. Understanding the material is one thing and very important, but also realizing how to approach these exams and what to look for is key. I really hope that helped, and look for that Exam Master mini course in the description below. Course 1 is down there and it's discounted for the time being. I plan on doing one for every course all the way to Sims 2, then always adding to them to bring up their value, but at the time of this video, it's a 50% discount in the description below, and I really hope it helps. Thanks for watching, and this channel is for us, everything real estate in Ontario, to build or grow a business around this license. My name is Callum Moore, eXp Realty real estate agent here in Ontario, and we'll see you in the next one.